But does married life seem a little boring to you?
Does it seem boring?
A little sedate?
No, I've seen interesting marriages and I've seen not interesting marriages.
Do you love him?
Pardon me?
Do you love him?
At 50 years old, Leonardo DiCaprio remains one of Hollywood's most enigmatic figures. While his contemporaries have settled into family life, trading red carpets for school pickups and premiere parties for PDA meetings, Leo continues to dance to his own rhythm, choosing freedom over convention with the same deliberate precision he brings to his craft. But what drives a man who seemingly has everything? Oscar recognition, environmental influence, generational wealth, and global adoration. To remain perpetually single? The answer lies deeper than tabloid headlines suggest, buried in the complex psychology of a boy who became the world's most famous bachelor. Picture this, a young boy from East Hollywood, raised by bohemian parents who separated when he was barely walking. Leonardo Wilhelm DiCaprio entered the world on November 11, 1974, named after the Renaissance master when his pregnant mother Ermeline felt his first kick while admiring a Da Vinci masterpiece in Florence's Uffizi Gallery. Perhaps that moment, art interrupting maternal intimacy, foreshadowed not only his artistic destiny but his complex relationship with commitment and conventional life structures. Growing up in a neighborhood where survival often trumped romance, where gang colors mattered more than designer labels, Leo witnessed his parents' unconventional arrangement firsthand. After their separation, his mother Ermeline and father George DiCaprio maintained adjacent homes in the same Los Angeles neighborhood, sharing custody through a literal garden gate that became a metaphor for his future relationships. Always connected, never fully committed, with an escape route carefully preserved. This unique setup taught young Leonardo that love doesn't always follow traditional blueprints. His mother, a German immigrant and legal secretary, and his father, an underground comic book artist and distributor, showed him that relationships could exist outside society's prescribed formats. They remained friends, co-parents, and mutual supporters without the legal bonds of marriage. Maybe that's where his aversion to conventional relationships began, not in rebellion against love, but in the understanding that love doesn't require contracts to be real. The family struggled financially during Leo's early years. They lived in a rough neighborhood where his mother walked him to school to ensure his safety, where drug dealers operated openly and where dreams often died young. Yet somehow, this environment of instability paradoxically provided him with a different kind of security, the knowledge that he could rely on himself, that traditional structures weren't necessary for survival or success. From those humble beginnings emerged Hollywood's most successful bachelor. But success didn't come overnight. Leo spent years auditioning, facing rejection after rejection in an industry that seemed designed to crush young spirits. He competed with hundreds of other blonde, blue-eyed boys for commercial spots, enduring the particular humiliation of child actor cattle calls where parents' ambitions often outweighed their children's happiness. One agent even suggested he change his name to Lenny Williams to sound more American, believing his distinctive moniker might limit his commercial appeal. His refusal to compromise his identity then mirrors his refusal to compromise his lifestyle now. A pattern of authentic self-preservation that would define his entire career. Some patterns never change, and perhaps they shouldn't. His breakthrough came through television with roles in Parenthood and Growing Pains, but these early successes came with their own complications. Teen magazines plastered his face on bedroom walls across America, and young girls screamed his name outside television studios. This early taste of fame's intensity. The loss of privacy, the reduction of complex personality to simple fantasy may have planted the first seeds of his relationship with distance and emotional protection. When Titanic exploded onto screens in 1997, Leo became the world's heartthrob overnight, but the transformation was more seismic than anyone anticipated. Suddenly every woman wanted to be his Rose, and every man wanted either his life or to dismiss him as pretty boy fluff. The film's unprecedented success turned him into a global phenomenon. But fame came with a price that few understood. The boy who once lived in a tough LA neighborhood, who rode the bus to auditions and worried about rent money, now found himself scrutinized by millions, his every romantic move dissected by tabloids hungry for the next story. Privacy became a luxury more precious than any material possession. He learned that relationships conducted under such intense public scrutiny rarely survive the pressure, that genuine intimacy becomes nearly impossible when every dinner date spawns a dozen paparazzi photos and speculation articles. This period taught Leo a crucial lesson about fame's relationship to romance. The more public your love life becomes, the less authentic it can remain. Every relationship became performance, every gesture analyzed for hidden meaning, every breakup transformed into tabloid tragedy. Perhaps his later preference for privacy and his resistance to public commitment stemmed from these early experiences of having his most intimate moments commodified for public consumption. What followed was a parade of relationships that read like a who's who of the modeling world, each name becoming a footnote in the ongoing narrative of Leo's romantic life. Bridget Hall, Naomi Campbell, Kristen Zong, Gisele Bundchen, Bar Raffaelli, Blake Lively, Aaron Hetherton, Tony Garn, Nina Agdal, Camila Morrone, and most recently Vittoria Soretti. Each relationship followed a familiar pattern. Intense connection, public speculation about engagement, eventual separation conducted with remarkable discretion and apparent mutual respect. Critics labeled him a serial dater, but perhaps they missed the bigger picture. Look closer at the timeline and you'll notice something interesting. Leo's relationships often coincide with breaks in his filming schedule or transitions between major projects. The most intense periods of his romantic life occur during the spaces between his professional obsessions, suggesting that his heart operates on a schedule dictated by his art rather than conventional relationship timelines. Consider Leo's longest relationship with Gisele Bundchen, which lasted 6 years and remains his most serious romantic commitment to date. In her memoir, she revealed the growing apart that occurs when two ambitious people evolve in different directions. I was becoming more and more aware of things I'd chosen not to look at, she wrote. Was I alone in wanting to do some serious soul-searching while he stayed the same? The answer, unfortunately, was yes. She sought spiritual growth and traditional family structures while he remained laser-focused on his career and environmental activism. This pattern would repeat with others who sought traditional commitment while Leo remained devoted to his craft and causes. Bar Raffaelli, during their 5-year on-and-off relationship, reportedly grew frustrated with his inability to prioritize their relationship over his career demands. Blake Lively, despite their brief but intense romance, moved on to marry Ryan Reynolds and embrace domestic life. Camila Morrone, 23 years his junior when they began dating, reportedly hoped their 4-year relationship would lead to marriage and family, but Leo's resistance to traditional commitment ultimately ended their partnership. But calling Leonardo DiCaprio commitment-phobic oversimplifies a complex man whose capacity for dedication is actually extraordinary. Just not in the ways society expects. His commitment to environmental causes spans decades, long before it was fashionable or profitable for celebrities to champion climate change. Through his foundation, established in 1998, he's donated over $100 million to conservation efforts, consistently using his platform to address what he considers humanity's greatest threat. He's committed to saving the planet, but not to walking down the aisle. There's profound poetry in that contradiction, suggesting someone who thinks in terms of legacy and global impact rather than personal domestic satisfaction. His environmental work requires the same kind of long-term vision and emotional investment that marriage demands, but directed toward a cause he considers more urgent than personal happiness. His professional commitments tell a similar story of someone capable of profound dedication when the stakes feel worthy. Leo's collaboration with Martin Scorsese has produced some of cinema's finest work: The Departed, The Wolf of Wall Street, Shutter Island, The Aviator, and Killers of the Flower Moon. These partnerships require years of preparation, months of intense filming, and complete emotional investment. Each project becomes a kind of marriage, total commitment with defined endpoints. Industry insiders describe Leo as intensely focused during production, often staying in character between takes and requiring complete isolation from outside distractions. This method-acting approach demands everything from him physically, emotionally, and psychologically. When preparing for The Revenant, he endured freezing temperatures in remote locations, ate raw bison liver despite being largely vegetarian, and slept in animal carcasses to achieve authentic performance. That Oscar-winning performance required sacrifices that few understand and fewer would make. How do you balance such total professional dedication with domestic life? Perhaps you don't. Perhaps Leo learned early that his artistic achievements require a kind of monastic dedication that doesn't accommodate traditional relationship structures. This isn't emotional unavailability, it's strategic life designed by someone who understands his own creative process and refuses to compromise it. Recent reports suggest Leo's current relationship with Vittoria Soretti, a 26-year-old Italian model, follows familiar patterns while potentially representing something different. Sources close to the actor claim he's completely besotted with Soretti, introducing her to his family and closest friends in ways that suggest deeper seriousness than previous relationships. Yet he still doesn't envision marriage, maintaining his philosophical opposition to legal commitment. Leo doesn't see himself ever getting married. One insider revealed to Entertainment Media. He doesn't feel the need to tie the knot to make things official. He's happy with the way things are. Meanwhile, Vittoria allegedly hopes to become Mrs. DiCaprio, investing heavily in their relationship on every level, emotionally, socially, and practically, while Leo maintains his characteristic emotional distance from traditional outcomes. This dynamic raises uncomfortable questions about Leo's dating patterns that extend beyond simple commitment phobia. Critics point to his apparent preference for women in their early to mid-20s, noting that most relationships end around the woman's 25th birthday. Is this coincidence, conscious choice, or something more complex? Some suggest he seeks partners who won't pressure him for commitment, women whose youth and career ambitions align with short-term rather than long-term relationship goals. Others argue he's simply attracted to youth and beauty in ways that become increasingly problematic as he ages. The truth likely lies somewhere between these extremes in the complex psychology of someone who experienced early fame and learned to protect himself through emotional unavailability. At 50, Leo faces questions about legacy and fatherhood that he can no longer defer indefinitely. In rare interviews, he's expressed desire for children, saying, "I'm sure it will be amazing, but it's true, I'm not getting any younger." This admission suggests evolution in his thinking about family even if marriage remains off the table. Perhaps he envisions fatherhood without traditional partnership, following his parents' unconventional model of shared responsibility without legal bonds. The entertainment industry enables Leo's lifestyle in ways that make settling down seem not just unnecessary but potentially counterproductive. His inner circle, famously known as the Pussy Posse in their younger days, includes longtime friends like actors Tobey Maguire and Kevin Connolly, creating a brotherhood that provides emotional support and social structure without domestic obligations. Add private jets, luxury yachts, exclusive parties, and unlimited access to the world's most beautiful and accomplished women, and marriage might seem like an unnecessary complication rather than a desired goal. But there's a loneliness that wealth and fame can't cure, a human need for authentic connection that superficial relationships can't satisfy. Those closest to Leo describe a man who values deep friendships over romantic attachments, who maintains his relationship with his mother as the central emotional anchor of his life, and who surprisingly maintains friendships with several ex-girlfriends. This suggests someone capable of profound connection who simply chooses different relationship structures than society expects. Consider the possibility that Leo's bachelor status isn't about avoiding commitment but about understanding himself with unusual clarity. Growing up with separated parents who maintained love and respect without marriage, he learned that relationships don't require legal contracts to be meaningful or successful. His environmental work demonstrates his capacity for long-term commitment to causes greater than himself, while his artistic collaborations show his ability to maintain deep professional partnerships over decades. Perhaps we're asking the wrong question entirely. Instead of wondering why Leo won't marry, maybe we should ask why society insists everyone must follow the same relationship template. His life challenges traditional notions of success and happiness, suggesting that fulfillment can come through artistic achievement, environmental advocacy, and chosen family rather than conventional marriage and biological children. The pressure to settle down intensifies as Leo ages, with every relationship analyzed for signs of impending engagement, but he seems increasingly comfortable with his choices. At 50, he's achieved everything Hollywood offers: critical acclaim, financial success, global influence, and artistic legacy. If marriage isn't part of his personal definition of a complete life, who are we to judge that choice as incomplete or immature? His current relationship with Victoria represents an interesting test case for his evolving philosophy. If reports are accurate, she's actively pursuing marriage while he remains characteristically resistant to legal commitment. This dynamic could either break their relationship, following the familiar pattern of women seeking traditional outcomes he won't provide, or force Leo to confront his deepest assumptions about commitment and legacy. Either outcome will reveal more about his true motivations and capacity for change. Looking at Leo's story comprehensively, we see a man who chose authenticity over convention, artistic integrity over commercial success, and personal freedom over societal expectations. His bachelor status isn't a failure to commit but a commitment to a different path, one that prioritizes creative excellence and global impact over personal domestic satisfaction. Whether Leo ever marries remains an open question, but his impact on cinema and environmental consciousness is already secure and substantial. He's shown that a life can be complete without following traditional scripts, that success can be measured in artistic achievement and global influence rather than marital status and biological children. Perhaps that's his greatest role, demonstrating that happiness and fulfillment come in many forms, and sometimes the most authentic life is the one that refuses to conform to external expectations. As he enters his 6th decade, Leonardo DiCaprio continues writing his own story, one deliberate choice at a time. Marriage may or may not be a future chapter, but his legacy as an artist and advocate is already written in permanent ink. And maybe, for someone who has given so much to cinema and environmental causes, that's not just enough, it's extraordinary.